What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to ECT. My name is Khalid, and I have Matthew here, and we're
Howdy.
gonna go through some interesting videos of Ku Klux Klan interviews. And this is the point that I want to make on this video. First of all, before I get started, make sure you like, share, subscribe to this channel if you like what you're hearing. And also, please make sure you drop some comments in the comment box because I'm probably going to get shadow banned if I don't have any interactions. So just make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you like this video to keep this content going. And we're going to talk about a topic that I feel like nobody really talks about. What does the Ku Klux Klan believe in? Because the general census with the black community and pro-black folks, especially, is the Ku Klux Klan is a terrorist organization. They believe that all races should be eradicated if it's not white. They believe that other
Yep.
races are superior to them. Is that do you think I'm missing something here, Matthew?
They're really against not even races, but they're more a very nationalist. So they don't even like Italians and that kind of stuff. They don't even like those kind of people.
Yeah.
Um, it, there's a big thing about the KKK where they were started, I believe, at the beginning of Reconstruction, right after slavery was
Hmm.
taken down. This is right before Jim Crow laws. It's actually one of the big things that started it,
Hmm.
and it started from the Democrats in the South
Yeah.
that they kind of like were they called it the Ku Klux Klan just because they needed a name for it, but it was typical for people in a town to gang up and harass the black people in their town, and rather than letting them know exactly who it was, they would cover their head with some kind of mask or covering of some description. This is where you see some of the really old ones where they're like their head looks kind of like a box or something like that.
Hmm.
You can find some of those, and it wasn't until the 20s, I think, when the KKK we know today started with the burning crosses and
Hmm.
the large pointed hoods and all that kind of stuff. So it is important to make that distinction. I do have stuff open here. It says 1865 was the first time that they were. It was when they were born, quote unquote, from this
Hmm.
website I'm reading. It's
Yeah.
worldhistoryedu.com, which kind of upsets me. I'm not sure if that's right, but it does kind of work with what I already knew. So I think it's pretty damn close.
Okay. And so
Um,
real quick, I just want to say this. This video is to by no means defend anything about the Ku Klux Klan because I think they're a bunch of idiots as well, which is the point of me making this video.
oh yeah, yeah.
The point of me making this video is to point out how idiotic the Ku Klux Klan sound and then compare it to how idiotic some of the people on the left sound. So with their rhetoric and their talking
Uh,
points.
it's not
Um,
glorification; it's comparison.
exactly. Um, we're also going to look at some of their conservative views because I hear a lot of people say, well, the Ku Klux Klan have agree with a lot of stuff that the conservatives say, and to be honest, they do. But what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? We're gonna get into that though. We're gonna get into
Yeah.
that. So let me go ahead and share screen here. And this is an interview on Soft White UnderBelly. You can go check this interview out if you want to watch without the commentary. I'll put this link in the description below. Shout out to Soft White Underbelly. I love this channel. I definitely recommend it. He gets some free promo today, but I love this channel so much that I don't care. Uh, they go into a lot of topics, man. Pimping, gang banging, drug addiction. You know, you see stripper, porn actress. We're not going to get into that, but it's very interesting looking at perspectives from different people. So this is what this is about. But anyway, let's get right into it. Waiting for this to load up. And while we waiting for this to load up, um, I need y'all to make sure y'all subscribe to this channel because there's no way I got 500 followers and I'm not getting as many interactions that I'm supposed to be getting. Um, I need y'all to help me out here. We need to keep this content going. It's not a lot of
Hmm.
people out here doing this content, and the ones that do, I want to do something different. I want to do something more hands-on once we get this channel going. So if you want to see our channel grow, if you want to support this channel and keep getting this information that we're sharing with you guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and see if this works. Okay, here we go.
I've got it open on my screen, so when we're ready, I'm good to go. But overall, there it is.
All right, JD.
You wanted to say something real quick before we start?
No, go ahead. I'm good to start. I was just feeling there.
All right, so we're gonna go through this video. We're gonna comment. I've seen this already, but Matt probably
I have
seeing this
not.
for the first time. So
Yep, I have not seen this before.
we're gonna stop in between some comment and add some commentary, and we also have to do that so we
Yep.
don't get flagged. So let's go ahead and make it happen.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
Originally from Roan Mountain, Tennessee.
And did you have the Klan growing up in your family as a kid?
Yeah, somewhat. On my grandparents' side.
How did you get involved?
Well, around 2015 or so, when Dylan Roof, he's took and shot the black people in Charleston in that church, you know, and every picture that I saw on TV of him, he was having the Confederate flag in his hand, and he never was a member of any organization, you know, and then they go and take the flag down in South Carolina off the state capitol building because of that. And I thought that, you know, that was kind of a slap in the face to the South, our ancestors that fought in the Civil War.
Yeah, go ahead and stop it there. So that's a really interesting sentiment already. So he's not, from what he's told us thus far, he's not directly hating on black people. He is turned to this organization, which we can all agree is atrocious. He's turned to this organization as a reaction to how far they went in the other direction.
And
that to me is
very interesting. And this is the interesting part. This is the interesting part, and I'm glad we're doing this right now. I was on the phone talking to one of my homies, Gino. He is a black Trump supporter. He's a conservative, but me and him disagree on a lot of things. And he disagreed. Well, I'm not gonna go into details what he disagreed on. We'll just get to that when he actually comes on. But anyway, one of his points is that the difference between pro-black groups or organizations in the Ku Klux Klan is that it's a reactionary to the Ku Klux Klan or white nationalist groups, white supremacy groups.
Yeah.
But here we are right now, we have a Ku Klux Klan member saying that's why he joined. So that's why I'm glad we're doing this, because this is going to get put out.
It's your typical trying to up the other person. So you have one person who does something and the other person tries to one up them. And it's this entire thing where one person does something and then they try to one up, which causes more reactions to people who would be like him, who are now going on. But he has so far not expressed any, I mean, we are only a minute in. I'm going to be fair here. We're only a minute in. But he has not expressed any hatred for black people yet. And for his reasoning, he says, yeah, well, it wasn't my family, but he does not state that as the reason he got it. He states it because of how they were treating Confederates in the South. And I'm gonna be fair, I don't like Confederates either. Confederates don't want to live in the America that I want to live in. Right. So if you're gonna go off of that, like but I also don't think it's right to try and just completely wash our history of the Confederacy. I think it's really important that we have it. I think it's important that Mississippi had it in their flag. I don't know if they still do, but it's important because it is a big part of our history, and you can't just get rid of history. This is why when we tear down statues and this kind of stuff, it's really dangerous. Not only for things like this, to people who actually really believe in that kind of stuff and take it as a slap in the face to their own culture. I mean, it'd be like erasing Napoleon from French people. Like, you can't do that. You got to keep the short guy in there. It's just,
right.
Anyway.
Yep. And that's the whole point that I was trying to make earlier. Let's keep going. It gets very interesting.
My family that fought in the Civil War for Tennessee and North Carolina. And in 2017, I joined the Royal White Knights, and I just wanted to get out and try to make, do my part and try to make a difference. I mean, like IW was saying, if we don't pull together, it's going to be like a sinking ship. Our rights are going down the drain every day. And I just wish my grandparents was around to see me and know that I'm doing my share and trying to preserve our history. And I don't consider myself really as a racist. I mean, I'm more of a separatist. I believe in keeping the races separate. That's what God intended. That's why he put us on different bodies of land, different English, language, just different cultures altogether. And I believe that the white race is a superior race. And
there we go.
Yeah, he kind of contradicted himself right there. He said he wasn't a racist.
Yeah.
But
then believes in a superior race.
Right. He thinks that white people are a superior race. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what I find interesting is that we go back to the sentiment you made on Instagram the other day about how pro-black organizations and the KKK have similar things. Well, pro-black organizations are starting to make black-only spaces, and he just said that he's more of a racial separatist.
Yeah.
So he wants them to all, and which, I mean, is just a fun way of saying segregation. So it's not like it's anything different. Keeping the races separate, that was segregation. That's what that was. That's the point of it. And it's interesting that we're starting to see these pro-black places. We're starting to see the George Floyd Autonomous Zone, where white people can barely even go in without doing something wrong. We're seeing the Black Hammer group that's making a city for black people and that kind of stuff. We're seeing these groups pop up that want to make black-only spaces. I mean, hell, even Chaz or Chop, whatever you want to call it, in Seattle, when that was still a thing, they had their garden for the black and indigenous, like that. They were segregating their own stuff, and it's very interesting to see that this is what this guy believes. And this is one Klan member. We can't take his word for the entirety of the Klan. I mean, the Klan will tell us what they believe in on their own.
Right.
But you kind of hear what he's saying there, and you attribute it back to the fact that they have similar views. Okay, well, he just said it, and we can see these contrasts. Maybe our pro-black organizations aren't saying it as clearly as he is, but I mean, they're still doing it. We can see in their actions what they want, and this is clearly what they want. And I find that very interesting.
And just to add on to that, I think I missed that. I think I missed that part where he said he feels like white people are superior to black people, because actually I probably didn't miss that part. I think it's because I was going off this website here, right here, which we'll get to in if we have some time later. But I wanted to go over that because if you read that website, they have a lot of conservative views. They don't believe that black people should, not have their rights taken away, which I don't think is necessarily have nothing to do with him saying he feels like white people are superior. You can feel that everybody should have their rights, but you can also feel like you're superior to other races as well. I don't think
This is true.
I don't think those two can supersede each other. But let's go ahead and get back into it.
That's kind of the way I feel about it.
What do you wish the United States looked like?
Sir?
What do you wish the United States looked like racially? I mean,
well,
right now we're all very mixed.
Yeah, we're very mixed. I just wish that, they could stay more to themselves. I mean, don't come and try to push them down my throat.
When you say they, you mean?
Our government, and not our government, but the black race, the Hispanics, the Orientals. I wish that they would stay with themselves, and I think the country would be a lot better off if it was like that. And Lincoln, he freed the slaves. He was from Illinois, so I think they should have given that state to the slaves and let them all go to Illinois, if that's what he preferred. I mean, I thought right now I think it's a slippery slope, and if the white people don't get out there and try to make a difference, we're gonna give our history or heritage away. I mean, it's gone.
And I wanted to pause it right there is because I used to be on the left. I was very pro-black, and I used to watch, different guys on YouTube about how black people need to stand up before white people take over and get rid of their culture, erase our history. They start going into
Yep.
Egypt and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And this is kind of what we're seeing today with the 1619 project. They're trying to say that
They're
they're
literally changing what the history is.
changing exactly what history is. And I think this possibly could be what he's talking about in a more racist way, because I think he feels like American history is his history. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but either way it goes, they're
Well,
both
he's not wrong.
right. They're yeah, that's true. They're both
We
doing
were talking about it a minute ago. They're pulling down statues and taking away the Confederate flag
right.
and whatnot. And you can't even, like, if you want to see it, if you look up any leftist thing about a white supremacist, I can guarantee you there's a picture of them with a Confederate flag.
Right.
They're trying to demonize that side of history, which it should not necessarily should be, but it definitely, there's reason for it. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at what the South did. You look at their slaves. You look at how they wanted the U.S. to look differently. I mean, he wants it to look differently, and clearly he is very pro South from the Civil War, and that kind of shows you that they weren't the best people, but it doesn't matter. It was still history.
Yeah.
It's still important to know. So just taking it away because it makes you upset doesn't help.
Doesn't help.
And that's kind of what he's saying here, and I find it very interesting because he also said, I just want to be left alone.
You want to be left the fuck alone. Exactly. Now,
Yeah, it's another thing. Like, if we would just leave this guy alone, he probably wouldn't do this kind of stuff. He probably wouldn't be a part of this organization. He might be, but I can't say that he wouldn't be, but I can say that he probably wouldn't be. I mean, he would have no reason to be in it. People wouldn't be shoving it down his throat of, now his job probably requires him to have diversity training and that kind of stuff when he doesn't really need it, or maybe he does need some kind of influence with that. But when you take it and it's the kid that went to clean their room, and then his parent said, clean your room, and then the kid doesn't do it because now the parent has told him to. It's that, but it's on a racial and a much larger scale of the government is saying all this kind of stuff with forced diversity and this kind of stuff, which is a very interesting way to put it. I mean, it's horrible. He shouldn't, well, not necessarily horrible, but he shouldn't think this way. He should definitely he can have his own thoughts and everything like that, but he shouldn't join this group thinking he's making a positive difference when in reality it's a reaction to the severity of what's going on the other side,
right.
which is just kind of sad that he's gone this way. And I think if he was more informed on issues and topics and whatnot, and he met more people who are proponents of leaving him the hell alone, then maybe he wouldn't feel this way. And it's just interesting how far it kind of how far people have to go just to make that message, and people still don't listen.
Right. And it's the same thing, and it's the same thing with what we're seeing today on the left. It's not necessarily just pro black groups, but I'm just speaking on pro black groups because it's in my opinion, the pro black groups are more influential than the Ku Klux Klan.
Absolutely.
Ever be. I say, see, you agree with me, but somebody disagree with me, but I digress. But anyway, I feel like the pro black groups are more influential. We have the Black Lives Matter groups. People can say, oh, it's not a black group because there's not black members, but they're reaching out. They want to appease to black people, and their rhetoric is definitely pro-black. Every time a police officer has any interaction with black people, they rile up black people. And now the group may have ulterior motives, but that's not how the people who support these organizations feel. They feel like they're doing something for black people. And while they're doing that, they're causing destruction, they're causing chaos, and nobody is saying anything to them about it. Now, when it comes to the Ku Klux Klan having these views, because of these things, as you heard him in the beginning, his reaction is, I got to join the Ku Klux Klan. So it's safe to say that this shit could make the Ku Klux Klan rise again. They've done it before. Keep that in mind. They've done it before. The Ku Klux Klan was on and off.
Yeah.
Over the years. If they've done it then, they can do it now. All it takes is for something to pop off and they'll come back just like that. But let's go ahead and continue because it gets interesting. It'll get right into that point that I was making.
But you know, I just wish that more people would see the light and see where this country's heading, because I give it another 10 years, we'll not be able to do what we're doing today. I mean, it's going to probably be a felony to be seen in the Klan road. I mean,
real quick, can we stop this for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
In BLM's mission statement, it says, Black Lives Matter is a global humanitarian organization that is present in the US, UK, and Canada. It promotes all kinds of initiatives aiming to include Black people in the society, educate and empower them about their rights, and make daily injustices that they go through visible. So there's an entire group of people who is constantly on the leftist news sites. And I mean, you say that they're influential. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The founder has been on CNN how many times? And how many times have we seen pro BLM people on the news constantly talking? And how many times have you seen pro KKK members on the news? I have not seen it once in my 20 years of being alive. Now, I might be wrong. It may have happened on like local news station, whatever, but the big national medias. But this group literally says exactly what frustrates this guy, exactly what makes him angry, and what makes him want to think or make him join the group that he is currently in, is this group that's being pushed to the national media. So, I mean, we can just push that. And then it says its mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on the Black communities by the state and vigilantes. So they want to eradicate white supremacy, but they also define white supremacy. So they're not talking about just this guy. They're talking about, I mean, hell, even me. They would consider me a white supremacist.
Right.
And that's just something I find very interesting. And likely they'd consider you a white supremacist just for doing this video.
Exactly. And I'll be, called all types of C words and and here's the part that's messing with me though. When we talk to people like regular normies about these subjects who have no clue what's going on, they just follow what everybody else is telling them. The blame always goes to the Ku Klux Klan. That is the first thing they say. Yep. It always goes to the Ku Klux Klan, which is what inspired me to go and look up the KKK and what they're doing, what they're all about. And then when I'm looking it up, y'all hear, I mean, we're just gonna go through the video. Y'all know what it is. I hear similarities between the left and the Ku Klux Klan, even though they are more conservative, which we'll get into later on in the video, but let's keep going.
Yeah.
What is the Klan's biggest issues today? Is it immigration?
Well, we're strongly against
race mixing,
the mixed race, mixing races, messing with our monuments, our flag, our history, especially in the South.
Again, he goes back to history.
We were originated in the South, in Pulaski, Tennessee, and being from Tennessee, the Klan's always been strong in that state and in North Carolina, and I just wish that we had a better opportunity to get out there and make a difference, because they're not wanting to issue us permits, stuff like that, to have rallies or anything, or public demonstrations. But you've got all these protests and stuff going on, and they're just out here doing what they want to do and tearing up the country, and nothing's said.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm Black. as much as I don't like the fact that he feels like he is more superior to me, I have to agree with him there. Um,
Mhm.
I do feel like that the other side is allowed to destroy our country. I don't give a fuck what type of reaction it is. I don't care if it's reactionary because the shit that they reacted to, racism and the boogeyman known as white supremacy, in my opinion, is not there. They're not reacting to that. I don't think that's why they're
Yep.
reacting, in my opinion. You can argue with me about it, but that's how I feel because every time we look into the so-called racism that they're reacting to, it's nothing fucking there. Nothing. So
Well, the problem isn't that they're reacting to it. It's the problem that they think it is there. So that's what they're reacting to, their thoughts and feelings on a situation. So yes, when you watch the 9 minutes of footage of George Floyd on the ground, you definitely think, oh yeah, that's really bad. Everybody in unison agreed on that. And then we watched the body cam footage come out. And we watched more and more where he was struggling, where it was very clear that he was on something, where the officers gave him a ton of leeway in the entire thing and let him pretty much orchestrate his arrest, which they shouldn't have done, in my opinion.
mhm.
But you watch all of that and you're like, okay, this isn't racist, but the left doesn't care because they went off of their knee-jerk reaction, and that is what they were angry about. And when you go off a knee-jerk reaction, then yeah, you can absolutely think it's anything. Anybody can take a video and they can say, oh yeah, that was really bad. But then you take the left who says that was really bad, but there's a lot of people who think it was good when they're wrong on that.
Right. And that goes to, and somebody asked earlier, well, what organizations is out here looting and rioting and doing violence? What pro-black organizations is doing that? Well, my reply to that is you don't have to be in an organization to be pro-black. All you got to do is watch the news and think what they're saying is true and go out and make your
Yeah.
own decisions based on that. Because like he said in the beginning, Dylan Roof wasn't a part of us. I don't know what the hell they talking about. He wasn't part of no organization. And then y'all go
Yeah.
tear down my statues and my flags because of what the fuck he did. He wasn't a part of us. But he might have looked at some of the stuff that they were saying about the Ku Klux Klan and maybe even some stuff the Ku Klux Klan was saying themselves and took that and went out and committed the crime that he did. So I'm not saying that he didn't get some of his rhetoric from the Ku Klux Klan or white nationalists like himself. But what I'm saying is how easy it is for a regular normie to look at these things and come up with their own perspective and go out and do stupid shit.
Yeah. Exactly. And that is one of the problems with our media
Yeah,
right now.
exactly. So let's go ahead and continue.
I mean, it's not the Klan. I mean, there's a lot of these other groups. I mean, they're not doing that.
Are you a religious person?
Yes, sir.
The Klan is a religious organization.
Yes, sir.
What aspects is Christianity that is the basis of the Klan?
Well, I'm Southern Baptist.
Okay.
I'm basically Baptist. I mean, there's Methodist, Presbyterians, you know, no Catholics. I mean, it's.
And you are a Imperial Wizard or a Grand
No,
Dragon?
I'm a Grand Dragon. I'm over North Carolina and South Carolina.
Oh, you do? Okay. And what is a Grand Dragon?
It's the state officer. I'm over the state, and I'm right under the Imperial Wizard, you know.
So what is it about African Americans that you want them to be separate?
Well, I don't think God intended for them to be mingling with us and especially breeding with the white race. I mean, it brings about a mongrel race. I mean, a mulatto color. I mean, nothing makes me any sicker than to see a little kid running around and their skin's just yellow. I mean, you know.
So obviously this guy is a fucking racist, right?
Yep.
But I also hear this type of thing from black people. And what I hear is a little bit different. It's a little twist to it. It's called colorism in the black community, where they think that if you are mixed with another race, some people feel like it's more prettier than someone that says there's a darker skin color. And then you have others that feel like it's an abomination. You shouldn't be mixing races. Everything is black, black, black. We need to have babies with our own people. We need to,
Mhm.
we don't need to mix with white people, Asians, etc., etc. And this is kind of the same sentiment, except it's a little twist to it. And that's what I was talking about. They have the sentiment is
Yep,
don't.
I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know why when I say this, people have a problem with it. I mean, bro, I'm literally on the social medias all fucking day. This is all I look at. This is how I come up with my arguments, because I look at these type of things. It is out there. It's not a phenomenon. You want to add anything to that?
I mean, you can take it into just the general hatred of races. I mean, there was I saw a video on Instagram the other day. It was a reposting of a TikTok video where somebody was asked the question, tell me you hate white people without telling me that you hate white people. And the chick is just dancing in her video, and she just says something like, well, I mean, they're white people, and just kind of like answers positively to the question. Well, when you take that and you try to say, well, they're not the same as the KKK. Well, you are doing exactly what this guy is doing. He said nothing sickens me more than seeing a kid with yellow skin. Okay, well, he took nothing more of knowing that about that kid than his skin, and said that that's what that's what he hated about the kid. And that's what amazes me, is that was the only thing that he knew about the kid, and he hated him. And the only thing that this lady knew about the people that she was hating was the whiteness of their skin. I mean, you compare those two things, and you see that that's enough of a problem. And I've definitely heard of things in the Black community about shaming Black men for having white wives or whatever. I've definitely seen that in the community, and I think it's despicable. Let them love who they love, kind of thing. I mean, if gay people can do it, then why can't Black people? Right? It's odd, to say the least.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and continue.
Yep.
Mulatto color. I mean, I wouldn't feel so bad about the blacks if our government wasn't pushing them down our throat.
Yep.
Just like in the
again, reactionary.
They pushed them down our throat in the schools and cafes, restaurants. I mean, it's just something that I don't think should have ever happened.
And you know what? I just wanted to pause real quick. I just want to say this real quick. You can kind of take what he's saying right now, and you can probably apply it to how the Ku Klux Klan felt back in the day when they were first formed. We don't want these Black people out here, getting free, being free. We don't want them to have any rights. Why you
He
gotta
did kind of say that in the video.
Why
he said if Lincoln wanted them to be free, why didn't he bring them all to Illinois? That kind of thing. Exactly. It's like, why couldn't they all just be free in Illinois? Why? Which is an interesting sentiment. I have never heard that argument.
Right.
Which, I mean, it is wrong. Clearly is wrong. We shouldn't exile Black people from the U.S. But it's interesting, to say the least. I have never heard that argument from the Confederates ever. Which is just kind of interesting to hear him say.
And the reason why we doing this is because how much of this rhetoric is out there amongst these type of people, and I've also heard this type of rhetoric on the left as well. And make sure while we're doing this, make sure you like, share, subscribe if you like what you're hearing so far. But let's go ahead and continue this video.
How has the Klan changed? You've only been a member for a few years. But
I've been several years, but the Klan's really changed a lot. We're not as violent as they used to be. Back in the 60s, there was some violent Klan.
Very true.
Especially in Mississippi. And it gives the Klan a bad rep. But today we're more...
Okay. Can we just address the absurdity of that statement? They give the Klan a bad rep. I'm pretty sure the Klan gave themselves a bad rep. Yeah, I have to be fair here. They gave themselves a bad rep.
Yeah.
You guys are the ones who were terrorizing Black people for years.
Right.
That's kind of on you at that point.
And that's what, and see, this is the part, and what I was talking to about my homeboy earlier was, I get that. I get the Ku Klux Klan did what they did back in the day. They do have a bad rep. I'm not saying take them off of the terrorist list. I'm not saying that. My whole point is while you're
no.
over here destroying and looting the country on the left as a pro-black person, saying blaming white nationalists and white supremacy on everything, you motherfuckers are doing this while sharing some of the sentiments of these people, of these same people that you are.
Yeah.
That has
And that's also interesting because when the Klan was destroying things, they were comparing it. They were blaming black people.
and this is what I was telling him earlier. I don't care who was created for what reason. Let's talk about what's going on right now and why they are similar. And at the end of the day, he agreed with me, but he was being condescending by going back to the past. I wasn't talking about the past. We're talking about right now, today, what's going on, why they're the same, why they're similar, and also unlike the Ku Klux Klan, which I'm not saying that they can't do this, but unlike the Klan right now, they're not practicing what they preach. That's the left.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
left.
a good point.
So let's keep going.
And it's not more of a terrorist group than what they used to be. They claim that we're in between the Nazis and Al Qaeda. We're ranked number 2 in the world as one of the worst terrorist groups. I don't see how they could rank us up there, like Al Qaeda or the Nazis. I mean, we don't go out and just kill people.
Have you traveled to other countries?
No, I don't. I've never been in another country, but I've been all around the southern states. I've not lost nothing up north. I'm not going up there.
So what do you think about the state of our country and its future?
Right now, I think it's going to eventually end up in turmoil. And Donald Trump, he talked a good talk at first. That got him into office. And
you'd be voting for Trump?
I didn't realize their suits were modular.
Yeah.
Just take the hood off.
Right.
I mean, I've never known a president to go into office and so many of his own party be so much against him, and wouldn't let him do what he said he was going to do. Like I said, he talked a good talk. That's what put him in there. But if he gets in there again as the next go around, I hope that he can go ahead and do what he set out to do, especially with the border wall. We've got a bad problem with immigration, and dealing with China. I think that was one of the worst things we ever done was pass the NAFTA bill, that free trade agreement, because they took a lot of our textile workers, our jobs away from the textile workers, sent it to China, Mexico, and you can't even go to a store and buy anything that's not made in China, Taiwan, Mexico, especially clothes.
I want to stop it right there real quick. Now,
yeah.
I said I agree with him on that segment right there about Donald Trump not being able to do anything he set out to do, because his own party was against him. I mean, the man was being investigated for 4 years. He got impeached. He did talk a good game about what he wanted to do. I feel like he needed another 4 years to do it, in my opinion. He did speak on the immigration and building a wall, because we do have an immigration problem. We have an immigration problem right now with Joe Biden in office.
Yeah, we have a much worse problem.
Much worse problem. So I feel like he was on point about that. What you think about that?
Well, I mean, he definitely was. I think Donald Trump did. I don't think it's fair to criticize him and say that he talked a big talk, because that implies that he didn't do anything. But what he did do was quite a bit for all the fighting he had to do the entire time. He actually did a lot, and he did a really good job, in my opinion. Especially if you give him the amount of fight that he had to put up to deal with all the crap that was being given to him every single day that he was in office. I mean, anything he did, he was criticized for. I find it interesting that he supports him, and this was filmed on the 13th in 2020. I find it very interesting that he supports him after being condemned multiple times by him, because Donald Trump did condemn white supremacy and white nationalism multiple times, and this guy very clearly either doesn't know that or doesn't care, which is interesting to me, to say the very least. I know it was like a big thing when the KKK came out and supported Donald Trump in 2016, which I don't think really matters. You can support whoever the fuck you want. Nobody cares about you at this point, or we shouldn't care about them. We give them the power that they have because they're not being violent. They're not doing anything like that. We just fucking ignore them. They're like a kid throwing a temper tantrum. They just, eventually they'll either tire out, no one will care, or they'll just keep going and you just keep ignoring it and then live life the way you always do.
Right.
Interesting that that he made that comparison and wanted to talk about Donald Trump. The problem is that you hear from him, he's like, well, we got a big immigration problem. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, we do have an immigration problem, but your solution we don't like either. So
yeah, I think, and I was gonna say, I think that he doesn't, even though his point is valid about the immigration problem, I think that the reason why he doesn't like immigration problem is different than what we don't like the immigration problem for, which is we don't want them just coming in our country thinking they can run shit.
yeah, well, it's for the problem that I see with it is you see people come into the country illegally, so they're already disregarding our system of laws when they come in. So what's to say that they won't break more of them? It's not that I think, well, they're Mexican, they've got to be breaking laws. It's that I think they've already broken laws, so what's going to stop them from breaking more? That's my big problem with it, and that you see a lot of these things and a lot of these problems, and I'm not one of the, they took our jobs. I'm not one of those guys. I don't really care that much. I mean, yeah, sure, I guarantee you there are jobs that they're taking, but when you really look at it, there aren't a lot of people who want to do those jobs. I mean, we were talking about homeless last time, where the homeless people don't even want to do the jobs we have open right now. So I don't think that's as much of an issue. I think the issue is the crime and the drugs and whatnot that can be brought in that way, and especially the human trafficking and whatnot that can come in. And I think that there's obviously a lot of cruelty to children that can happen. That happens a lot. I mean, we saw the videos of the coyotes dropping the kids over the wall on like a 15-20 foot drop, and these young single-digit year kids that are being dropped in. It's ridiculous, and you see that kind of thing, and that's what I think the problem is. While his problem is the race of the people that are coming in, which is where our problem would be defined, but he doesn't say that. So I guarantee you, if a leftist organization was to pick this up, well, they would just say, oh well, the KKK says it's a problem because they don't like the race. So anybody else who says that are attributed to this, but it's not.
Right, it's not.
That's not accurate.
It's not. Even though, like I said, his point is valid about that, but his reasoning for it may be different. He doesn't say that, but we don't have to take a guess about why he doesn't want immigration. You know what I'm saying? We already know he feels like his race is superior to everybody else, so he probably doesn't want a bunch of immigrants taking over, which on their website they do say that they don't want they're anti-immigration on their website. That's what they say. But the point that I wanted to point out about the Mexicans coming over here, and what my reasoning would be for, is we don't want them coming over here thinking they can do what the fuck they want to do. And when I say that, I'm not saying that I don't want immigrants to come over here and live their best life, but like you said earlier, they coming over here already illegally. They have no documents on them. We won't be able to find out who they are if they were to commit a crime. Just like how everybody else in this country, the government or the police or whatever, can keep tabs on us with our legal documents of being born in this country. You should have legal documents on you as well, because it's called, well, what is it called? Checks and balancing.
It's accountability. That's what it is. So checks and balances is different.
Okay, yeah, accountability. Sorry, use that word wrong. But accountability is accountability. Just like everybody else in this country can hold themselves, are being held accountable for what they do by having documents, being born in this country. You need to have the same thing, because we do have a problem with illegal immigrants being in gangs, selling drugs, committing violent crimes and stuff like that. It's happened. It's not like it's not going on. But yeah, let's
use an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
To use an example real quick. Let's use the example of the internet. So imagine for a minute that everyone on, let's say, Facebook, everybody on Facebook used their legal name, you could absolutely guarantee that they are who they say they are.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever they say and do, they could be held accountable for. Like somebody could go and say, hey, why did you do this? I know you did this, kind of thing. Let's say that they could do that on there. People would behave much better on Instagram. It's probably more likely to happen on Twitter or something like that, but you know what I mean. They probably behave better on social media and whatnot.
Right.
Now, let's say you have all those people doing that, and now we're going to let certain groups of people who come from a certain part of the world, they can get in, but they don't need to be like verified as who they are. They can just come in and be anybody, and now they can be those anonymous Twitter users who act like assholes all the time. Like we see that people who act with an anonymous profile. I mean, hell, I'm looking at just this BLM thing that I looked up real quick. At the bottom, there's one comment. There's 48 comments total, but one of them is simply by a guy whose name is anonymous with no picture or anything, and it simply says bullshit. Now, I agree with this guy, but do you think he would have said that if his name could have been attributed to it?
Right.
If their name could have been on this and they could say, yes, it's this person, we know who you are and why you did that, posting on a BLM thing, and then I slowly go down and I see there's another anonymous, another one. There's a bunch of them where all these people can say whatever they want, where maybe these people would be more eloquent. Maybe these people wouldn't say it at all if their name was attached to it, which shows you how scared people are of BLM in some cases, but it also shows you how people will act when their name isn't attributed to something. And I mean, you can just look at Twitter and you can see what I'm talking about. People act better when there is an accountability to it. But when you don't have accountability, you don't have to do that. So when we take away accountability from these people, legal accountability, where if you do something wrong, there's really no way that we can really track you. You also don't have to pay taxes, so you don't ever have to worry about any of that kind of stuff because you don't have a social security number, so you can't pay taxes, which I had somebody in high school try to convince me their parents did without social security. I was like, that's not possible. So I don't know what you're talking about. So I find that very interesting.
And that's another thing too, that you brought it up. Yeah, it's like, you if we, let's say we keep allowing immigrants to come in illegally and they start receiving benefits from the government, from taxpayer dollars. There's no telling what direction this country will go in. Like it's really no telling. It'll go down because we're giving out more money to people that's not contributing to the country. And I mean, shit, you guys can do that if you want to, but I don't want that shit happening because
I get that.
I'm an American and I deserve to have what the fuck I want. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Rocky boots and stuff. I hunt a lot, and I always tried to have a good pair of insulated boots. And even Rocky Boot Company, they're made in China now. I mean, we need a president that will bring our jobs back, and I think the country would be better off and give the people here the opportunity to go back to work. I mean, if they would stop the immigrants from coming in here, that would make a big difference. Finish that border wall. I mean, I'm all for that.
And do you have children?
No, sir.
No kids. You're married?
No, sir.
No. What are you proudest of in your life?
Sir?
What are you proudest of in your life?
What am I proud of? Well, I'm proud that I'm white. That's one of the main things I'm proud of. And I'm proud that I come from the family I came from.
Go ahead and stop it there real quick. He's proud that he's white.
He's proud to be white.
So when you hear BLM talking about black pride, is that not exactly the same thing? I mean, hell, Steven Crowder did a thing where his producer, Quarter Black Garrett, it was his birthday recently, and so they got him a card. They were going to get him a card for his birthday, but rather than getting him a birthday card, they found a pro-black card because I believe it was still I don't know what was going on at the time. It was some BLM shit. But they went to Target and they found this pro-black card that thanked him for being black. And I find that it's just an interesting sentiment. Again, another comparison that we can make between the two. Again, not glorification, not saying what he is saying is good, not saying what BLM is saying is good. It's a comparison between the two. And it is interesting that you can see these two things when you have black pride movements and that kind of stuff, and then you have this guy saying he's proud to be white. Well, we look at that, we're like, that's crazy. But the left looks at that and they think, well, that's racist. But then they say the exact same thing and it doesn't matter.
Right. And it's not
Right.
racist when they say it. So, and who's to say that? I mean, yes, he feels like his well, it is sort of racist now that we know he feels like his race is superior. But at the same time, we can pull up videos of pro-black people saying the same thing.
Yeah.
They'll be like, we're treated this way because white people are jealous that we're superior because of them. We have melanin in our skin, which makes us better. It makes us one with the earth, and they can't stand in the sun, so we're better than them. I've heard this rhetoric before.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel
I've
like,
never heard the one about the sun, but that's
oh yeah,
interesting. I'll have to look into that.
oh yeah, look into that, please, because I was on the left. I know pretty much all the talking points.
Oh
But
yeah.
let's keep going.
That I've got ancestors that fought in the Civil War for the South. I mean, everybody says that slavery was the main issue in the Civil War. It could have been part, but myself, I think it was mainly over the money and states' rights. You know, we had the cotton, the tobacco, all the agriculture down here, and taxes. You know, they probably wasn't paying the taxes on their stuff. You know, and but you know that's.
Okay, go ahead and stop that real quick.
Mhm.
Again, we're seeing a horrifically misinformed person. So the Civil War was fought over states' rights in the beginning. Well, actually, it wasn't really even fought then. It was the Confederacy was fighting for that reason. They were fighting for the right for them to be able to do what they want, while the Union was fighting to keep the Union, to keep the states together. That was the point. They wanted to end the separatism, and they wanted to make sure that the states stayed one, because that's what the United States was made to be. We were made to be united in one union.
Mhm.
I mean, hell, we the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union,
Mhm.
right? That's the Declaration. It's it's that kind of thing where he clearly doesn't really know what he's talking about. And then as far as money, I mean, he immediately goes off on something that doesn't make any sense. So the South was angry. Just a quick history lesson. The South was angry about they weren't angry about the North not paying taxes. They were angry about tariffs that were being put on certain items. And I believe when they put a tariff on tobacco, it was really bad. So when they were anything in or out was getting taxed in a certain way. And since the South was making a lot of that stuff, they thought that it was against them. And at that point, the South was against pretty much every single kind of tariff that you could imagine. It became a big problem.
Right.
So it wasn't over the North not paying taxes. It was about the South paying taxes they didn't want to pay.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And I find that very interesting that he does that. And he said something else that I find very interesting. He takes pride in having ancestry that fought in the Civil War for the Confederacy. He started off with something that you can't really take pride in. Like, I take pride in my whiteness. Okay, fine, whatever. That doesn't make any sense, because you didn't do anything to gain that pride.
Right.
But taking pride in something a relative has done, I find that interesting.
And that is
Like, I have relatives that fought in wars, and I'm proud of them. I'm not proud of myself because of that, but I definitely have pride for them, which is interesting.
and what's interesting about that, and we're gonna do a part two of this because we almost out of time.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about what he said about having pride in being white, and what you said, I'm sorry, what you said about taking pride in what his ancestors did, that is pretty much the rhetoric we hear from pro-black people on the left. They do take pride in
Yep.
black for what our ancestors done, which whatever, but I don't think that you could take any credit for that. I don't think you could
I
take
don't necessarily see a problem with it, but yeah, you can't take credit for it.
right. I don't think you
I don't take credit for winning World War II.
right.
Like,
Exactly.
I didn't do anything to do that. I'm proud that my family was involved in fighting in that, but I'm not taking credit, like saying, yeah, I personally stopped World War
And
II.
then say that you are receiving the same treatment that your ancestors is going through, so you're doing what your ancestors did. I think that's also asinine as well.
Exactly.
Like, that's doesn't
Exactly. So
that's
when
not
you compare BLM saying that they're just as bad as the 40s. It's like you're really not.
Not really. You taking you sitting up here putting something on our country that's not going on, and you making us look bad with this fucking bullshit that you're saying. So closing out real quick, we are going to do a part 2 of this. I have this marked down right here.
I think it would be good to just go through all 3 of their clan videos.
Oh yeah,
might be good just to make a little series out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. We're gonna do
because these are very interesting to hear what he's saying.
It is, and we're gonna do a part 2 on this one, and we're gonna close. We're gonna do that one, close it out, and we're gonna do a series on. Yeah, we'll do a series on the other 2, and go into comparisons, because ironically enough, they're all clans members, but they do have different views, but they're not so different from the pro-black left.
Now, you have watched them. Can you just give me a quick insight? So he's a Grand Dragon.
Yes.
Are the other 2 fairly high up, or are they?
I don't remember.
Just members.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember too much about the other 2.
Okay. I think we'll have to watch them and find out. But I'm interested to hear, like, because you have like union leaders who say like, oh, our union believes in this, but then like I can be a part of that union and not believe in what they're believing in. I'm kind of curious to hear. So this is what his beliefs are as a Grand Dragon, and I think what he said, like he runs like
okay, but what I can tell you is this guy right here, as he said that he joined the Ku Klux Klan a little bit more recent. This guy right here, this guy said that he's been interested in joining the Klan since he was a kid. So, and
that's an interesting concept.
I believe he's younger than this guy. He looks younger anyway.
Yeah.
And then the other one that we're gonna watch, this guy right here, he has one of the most interesting perspectives as well. Because he says that, and I'm not saying that this is true, but he says that what he said was, I want you to look up a picture of the Ku Klux Klan standing next to a lynched body. He feels that the Ku Klux Klan wasn't responsible for as many lynchings as people claim. Interesting. Interesting. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it's false, but I think that's interesting that he says that.
And then I think we should follow up all of this with Daryl Davis. Have you heard of him?
Yes. Yep. I post him up all the time. We definitely have to look.
Daryl Davis is a fucking genius.
Yeah,
and I think we should definitely do a video on him. So, things to come.
Funny part is about that. Before we close out, is they compared Daryl Davis to Uncle Ruckus, which I don't understand how what he did was racist, or how he's a black traitor for talking and sitting down trying to understand the Ku Klux Klan. I don't understand that. But anyway,
I mean, if anything, I would say what he's doing is amazing. It's amazing. Just the way he's like, well, I'm sitting down and talking to these people, and they quit the Klan.
They quit the Klan. And he's changing their mind.
Yeah, they quit it because they notice. Yeah, he's using the Socratic method to change their mind, and he's putting himself in danger. I mean, it's not like he's saying this is where all the black people are if you want to go kill them or whatever. I mean, you hear about his first story that he ever told where he felt like he was going to get shot, and everybody was in such suspense as he was talking to this big guy. And I mean, I find it very interesting.
And it was ice machine in the background making noise. But yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you like what you heard, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I think we're gonna do a part 2 next week. We're gonna drop that next week. But y'all make sure y'all subscribe to this channel and keep getting this content, man. I appreciate everybody watching.
Please support us, share it, even if you don't think somebody's going to like what we have to say. I think it's really important that you just share the message around. Let people see it. Let them hear what we have to say, at least, because much like Daryl Davis, I mean, once they hear it, they might not hate it as much as you think they will. I did that with some friends, and they hated me for it, but there's some of them that didn't. and you're always going to have that happy surprise. And I think it's well worth just giving it a try. So please just at very least share the video. Our goal here isn't to make money, isn't to gain likes or anything like that. We don't care about that. We want people to hear what we have to say. We want people just to get the message out there. So please, the most important button is that little share button down there. Go ahead and click that. Send it to everybody you can. Please, just spreading the message is really what we're here for. So help us out with that, and we'll be eternally grateful.
Absolutely, man. Well, with that being said, you guys, I like I said, I appreciate you guys viewing. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate everybody, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. Peace.
All right. Peace. That's pretty good, man.